on the opening kickoff out in Anaheim. It was Ron Brown, the Olympic speedster. He got a step, and there's no catching Brown. He goes for a touchdown on the opening kickoff. And, Tim, that's how your game started with the Redskins. Back to you.
Well, Gary, how long did it take for the new instant replay rule to go into effect? How about the first series of downs in Chicago? A Bear fumble to the back of the end zone. Was Al Gross in bounds? The officials don't even make a call. They weren't overruled. They went right upstairs to the replay official. He said, yes, in bounds, and a Cleveland touchdown. They never made a call.
Let's call it. Teams are seeking a spot in the playoffs. Minnesota kicked a field goal. New Orleans came back with this touchdown. Wayne Wilson up over the top. Fourth down play, and the bum went for it. Let's go back to Jack and Hank.
Gary, how disheartened were the Bears by the early Cleveland touchdown? Well, about this disheartened. The ensuing kickoff. Dennis Gentry makes a nice stutter step move, breaks some tackles, and outruns the last two defenders 91 yards for the game-tying touchdown. Gary, the Bears are growling at Soldier Field. Watch this one. Kozar tries to go to Kevin Mack on a screen pass. Wilbur Marshall steps in, says thank you, and gallops 58 for the touch. Of their three scores, one by the offense, one by the defense, one by the special teams, they're in midseason form.
Well, Pat and John, Doug Flutie quarterbacking the Chicago Bears, and he scores his first NFL touchdown, and he did it on the ground against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bears in a rout so far. It's 21-0. Let's go back to Pat and John.
Rich Stadium in Buffalo, Jets and Bills doing some heavy hitting. Watch this. Joe Cribbs parked under a punt, but Paul Darby, a rookie, comes along, hits him head on. Cribbs stayed down a while, but walked off under his own power. It's Buffalo 13, Jets 3. Back to Baltimore.
Thank you, Charlie Jones. Let's show you Franco Harris on the move. Franco inside the 10, cuts straight up the middle, lunges in, touchdown for Franco. Pittsburgh now leads Houston 19-7.
All the way for a touchdown, point after good. Bills out in front of the Jets by a score of 20-3. Back to Baltimore and Charlie Jones.
Thank you, Merlin. And in Denver, the Broncos have just taken the lead on a questionable call. Here's DeBerg. DeBerg scrambles. He will finally find Rick Upchurch. Upchurch will go 30 yards. Does he get in or not? They say yes. They give him the touchdown. Denver leads at 7-0. Back to Seattle. 7-6, rather. Thank you, Dick Enberg. Len Berman in New York. Houston without a win. No time left. Score tied. Kemp misses the field goal from 43 yards away. Houston doesn't get a win. They get overtime instead. Back to the Kingdom.
I apologize for interrupting that action, but let me complete this now with the Washington Redskins and the New York Giants. The Redskins scored 2 touchdowns on defense this afternoon. Here's the second one. Curtis Jordan scoops up the fumble and runs in. Earlier, Vernon Dean had intercepted a pass. It's now 30-14. Washington's going to win for the first time this year. Let's go back to Jeff.
Thank you, Dick Enberg. And in Denver, Dave Preston of the Broncos takes the pitch out from DeBerg, punches it over. Denver now leads San Diego 14-6. Remember, San Diego played without Fouts and Muncy today. Back to you, Dick and Merlin.
Pat and John, it was the comeback of the year. It was 23-0 with 8 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Then the Vikings shocked the Eagles with 4 touchdowns. Anthony Carter with the last 2 scores. That one was 4th and 5 for the winner. 28-23, Minnesota wins it. Let's go back to Pat and John. All right, Pat, it is over in Pittsburgh. The Denver Broncos did it. This was the play that sealed it up. And Woodley threw a bad pass. Harden with the interception now. And he gets into the end zone. 31-23, the final. Let's go back to Pat and John.
Good news for Pittsburgh earlier today in Cincinnati. Brian Seifert, quarterback, in a tie game. He was throwing for Cleveland. The all-time active interception leader, Ken Riley, intercepted it, returned it 41 yards. Cincinnati wins it, so if Pittsburgh wins, they'll have a 2-game lead in the AFC Central. Back to Seattle now.
Well, John and Pat, the Giants had a chance to win it. 4 seconds on the clock. Eric Schubert, a 34-yard field goal attempt, but the snap was not good. The holder did not have an opportunity to get it set right. 35-33, Cleveland to the top of the AFC Central.
Thank you, Dick Enberg. As you mentioned, in Green Bay, in overtime, Benny Ricardo, 32 yards away. He's got it. The Vikings win it, but more important, they now have a 2-game lead in the NFC Central. All right, back to Seattle now, Dick and Merle. Thank you, Dick. For those of you who didn't see it, here's how Kansas City won it. Nick Lowry, 41 yards. The beat goes on for the Oilers. 0-8, 15 straight losses. They lose without touching the ball in overtime. Back to you, Dick.